we're still looking at what looks like a mess that Abram and his wife had made, and now there's a child, and now God is showing Abram and his descendants about circumcision, cutting away, but it's a symbolic, the foreskin of the male, but it's symbolic to the cutting away of our hearts, the sin from our heart. So with that being said, on last week, verse 14 said, and an uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. So God is saying, if they refuse to be circumcised, you know, we do have a free will, then they ought to be cut off. I guess it would be kind of like that. He said with the church here, we refuse to follow him. And what he said there, that we should be cut off. It said cut off. Look what it said, cut off from his people. His people. The chosen people. And that's what we are. So with that being said, if there's no question or comment, we'll start tonight in verse 15.
Verse 15. And God said to Abraham, as for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be.
So there's a name change. We know that God honored Sarah, greatly honored her. He did. Did Abraham harbor feelings against Sarah secretly, blaming her for not being able to bear a child? Did he treat her like she should in love and respect? Was his relationship with her as strong as it should have been? We know that he mistreated her on 2 occasions we know of. Once before this encounter with God and once after. God gave Sarah a new name, Sarah, and he told Abraham to call Sarah by that name. Sarah means princess. So Abraham was hereafter to look upon Sarah as a princess. He was to call and treat her like a princess. Sarah means strife, contention, quarrelsome. If so, then the name chosen for Sarah, princess, was of extremely significance to Abraham, whereas his wife's name had signified strife and contention. Now her name was to be indicate the traits and character of a princess. So God had been working with her and him. But now there's a name change. Names mean a lot. Sarah meant strife. Sierra meant strife and contention, of course. And now Sarah means princess. So this means that he should treat her as a princess. And it also should be a good example to us as being of that we treat our wife as a prince. Because if we're the king, princess. If we're the king, there should be a queen or a princess in the home. And we should respect them in that way. And we should ask ourselves a question. And this is what Abram should have thought about, it, some of the things that he was doing with Sarah. Like when he called her, tell her that it was a sister, and got her in places she shouldn't have been. But if we would think about how blessed we are when we have a person that would love us for us. I'm not talking about what you got. I'm not talking about the position you hold. I'm not talking about the family you came from. I'm talking about love you just for you. And I believe that this is the love that Sarah had for him because she put her life at stake for her love. While he was trying to save him, he would put hers at stake. And she still went right along with him. So, Sarai, thy wife. Name has been changed. And he said that thou shalt call her by this name. Any question or comment? If not, let's go to verse 16.
Verse 16, I will bless her, and he'll be a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nation. King of people shall be of her.
See, the key in this, when we can't see, we don't know the direction. It looks like it's impossible. This is what God said here. When he told Abram, he said, and I. See, that's the key right there. God himself working in us. God blessed Sarah and appointed her to bear the promised seed. God said he would bless Sarah twice. And then Abram heard the very words he had waited all his adult life to hear. Sarah was to bear him a son. And not only a son, but she was to be the mother of nations. That's plural. Kings, S, of peoples, plural, were to come from her. Note the plural. The only one nation, the Israelites, ever descended from Sarah. The promised seed of believers from every nation comes through her. To bear nations and kings of people, plural, to bear the nations of Israel and the new race of believers from every nation of the earth. Sarah, Abraham's wife, was honored by God, greatly honored. Abraham was to change his behavior, his relationship toward his wife, and he was to call her Sarah, the princess, a woman worthy of honor from all nations and kings of the earth. Every husband should treat his wife with respect and love, especially if she is a true believer and follower of God. The Christian wife has the promises of God at her disposal. It is, if the Christian husband wants to arouse faith, a fresh start experience with God, he may need to change his relationship with his wife. He may need to change his behavior toward her, begin to treat her with a renewed love and respect, to treat her as the princess of the home. There was a writer by the name of Warren Risky. He said, while God does not call all women to marry or all married women to bear children, but some people consider children such a burden that they destroy them before they have ever an opportunity to become a blessing. The womb of the mother is a holy of holies where God is at work. How tragic that we turn that womb into a tomb, that holy of holies into a holocaust. And we call it Planned Parenthood. In a question or comment, but he said, this is a blessing from God. He said, I will bless her. Give her. It's God that's going to give thee a son. Also love her, the one that it looked like there's no way. And she shall be the mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Every believer becomes under her, because we went through the promised seed, which is Jesus Christ. That's where we are born again from, through him. So we also are part of that nation. This is why Abraham is being called the father of faith. And if we're putting our faith in Jesus Christ, that throws us right under there. Is there any question or comment? Yes, sir.
Well, I don't want to jump the gun, but you see now people saying now at their age now, you get over 60, like that's kind of like unheard of these days. People wait every year to have a child. Just every other children.
Can y'all hear him?
No.
You hear me? I was saying that it's kind of like unheard of. People now talking about age of 60 having kids now. You know, now like the other month, lady was 89 years old and the husband was 93 years old. They had kids. I think it was in the contract ended. But they already had previous children. Now they had a newborn just a few months now. Now they were old couple, but they had previous children. They gonna help raise their little siblings. But just, I'm just putting it out there, it's kind of like unheard of. And then, how people get impatient because my age, I'm thinking I'm not done.
Well, we know that all things are possible with God. And who knows? He has a purpose. Everything that God does, he has a purpose for him. If the woman was 89 and the man was 93, God has a purpose for what he did. And there's somebody around there that's going to be affected by it. Because that is a purpose. And I know we would think, that's kind of late in age. But I guess it's one thing all of us might can agree on. If she was 89 and he was 93, that wasn't none of their word, that was God's word. I believe we can agree on that. That was definitely the work of God. Just like this is. So God has a way of showing himself to believers as well as unbelievers. And the thing is, the difference between the unbeliever and the believer, for us it should be natural when things happen out of the ordinary. For the unbeliever, it should be out of the ordinary. But for us, it shouldn't be, because we know that all things are possible with God. Amen. Go ahead, Brother Forte.
I got a question, they got the Planned Parenting, for women having abortions. Well, what about the tube time? What is that? Is that all right? Like the time tubes or something like that, though? What they doing to keep from having no more tubes?
Well, if you tied your tube, that stops you from ever getting pregnant, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Is that would be the same as Planned Parenthood?
It stops you from getting pregnant and the same as killing a baby.
No. I'm saying, but would that be the same as I know it's not the same, but I'm saying, the tying the tubes, what would that be considered
It would be considered stopping it for an hour. If you tie them up, you're stopping things before an hour. But when you're talking about getting an abortion, something doesn't happen. So when something has happened, that means you're taking away what done happened. But now it's kind of like, I ain't got all the answers now. But it seems like when you tie tubes or things of that nature, you're keeping yourself from getting to that position where you would have to take a life from a person.
But wouldn't that be considered taking a life if you stopping yourself from being able to, but you still, doing things to have one, but you ain't saying that you don't want to have now. So you tie your tubes to keep from having one. Being fruitful. He say be fruitful and multiply, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, but you saying you don't want to be fruitful, right? When you tie your tubes. I'm just putting this out there. I ain't for nobody, and then it just came to my mind,
Well, let's just say we tie a hook tube that's going to stop a person from getting to a place where they would have to take a life. If a person restrains themselves from having premarital sex, that also would stop a person from getting to that point too, correct?
But see, that ain't the same as stopping some from restraining yourself, and then but steady like doing this, but you saying that nah, I don't want to have no baby, but I'm still doing stuff to have a baby. I mean, it's just a question that I mean, it's just like I ain't talking about nobody now. All right, it just came to my mind, and I'm just saying. And I just want to,
Hold on, man. We got another question or statement.
Logically, taking it from a person that has done that, honestly, like, when I did, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I wasn't married. And I was like, oh no, I know that, if I had the renewing of the mind that I have now, I wouldn't have did it. Because I'm married. But back then, I wasn't married. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I got two, I got a boy and a girl. So I did that. But in the books where I read, 10 years, 11 years from now, you can actually end up, maybe you can have one. But it's got to be by the will of God that can happen. So, I'm just going from a person that did that. I'm just putting it out there like, that's what my mind was then. That's why they say have a renewing of the mind. So back then, I ain't know no better. So if you don't know no better, what do you do? And if you don't have nobody to lead you in the right direction, hey, I was like, oh yeah, I ain't finna be crazy. I ain't finna end up with a bunch of children. That's what my mind was.
At that time.
Because I wasn't married. So that's what my mind frame was then. So that's what happened to me. I'm just telling you how it is.
Anybody else have any input on that?
It's kind of a personal choice.
Right.
We all grow, we all have to give account to God for what we do.
Right.
It's a personal choice. That's pretty much that it is.
But at least with two things, you're not going to kill a person. See, it's not. It don't become a embryo into y'all know how that goes. But what I'm getting at is that you're not taking the life of the person. So it's not murder.
I know it's not taking a life, but you never gain a life of chance if you I mean, I'm just thinking about, a lot of people tie their tubes and stuff but still doing stuff to be fruitful. It's like you go, like you said about if you don't want nothing, you restrain yourself.
Right. But it ain't just, when you said tying the tube, it ain't just ladies tying their tube. Men get
castrate.
by Satan, whatever it is.
I mean, I don't know that.
But either way it goes. Either way it goes.
Castrate is a little extreme.
That's the same thing, though.
No, it's not.
That's a whole different. Now that's not even close. But either way, I think Deacon Forte, if whatever that we've done, that's against the will of God. Every one of us have to face it. It don't make no difference who we are. He don't miss anything. But at least you're not taking the life of a person. You're actually going on a maybe, if. And what I mean by that is when you tie your tube, you're saying that I don't want to get pregnant again, but that's an if. Or maybe. You see, there's no promise that you were going to have another child. You see, only God knows that. So you could have call yourself taking precaution for something that you might have been done with, and only God knows that. Then again, maybe you stopped yourself from having them. Only God knows that. This is why at the end of everything, that's where we'll see him. But we got to also keep in mind, I can't say this enough. Keep in mind what you do, the motive behind what you are doing. This is why God deals with the heart of a person. You see, and I've said this before, you can have two people sitting out doing the exact same thing. I'm about the exact same thing, but both of them got two different reasons for it, two different motives for what they're doing. God look up on them different because of their motive behind what they're doing. So that's what makes the difference. It's just like you can have a married person that have 3 or 4 children and say, I'm married, I had more 3 or 4 of them now. I don't want to just, because I'm married. So we're not going to just say, go separate on this thing. So you might tie up the two to keep from just continuing to have children. But who knows? The day that you tie, that could have been your last child. But the thing about it is, what do we go on? What we can see. Thank you, baby. We go on what we can see. So if I'm going on what I can see, I done had a child last year, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that, and I might don't want to have a house full of children. But I don't want to kill no child either. So what do? Time up. Or maybe the husband might say, baby, that's so hard on you. Clip. I'll take your slack.
So that's straight then?
I can't say that.
I mean, that's what my question was. I want an understanding of that, like, with that.
Yes, sir. Please do.
Like they said, that choice, but now also you got responsibility and accountability when you have these kids. So now you make a choice, tie you to probably that responsibility part too, because a lot of people have kids don't want to take care of them. You understand what I'm saying? So now, you got, if I make that choice, that means I'm focusing on something else. Instead of, having a kid, no, I ain't gonna have time to do what I gotta do by. So I'm gonna make the choice. I might want to focus on my career or anything else. But now, if I have this kid, I can't do that unless I'm neglecting something along the way. So, you're responsible when you start having these kind of things. So now, if I make that choice, that means I'm freeing myself up to, not to be bogged down if you want to say or whatever, because now, everybody knows it takes something to raise unexpectedly.
Yes.
And different things of that nature. So, it go back to the children.
And I heard Deacon Forte as he was speaking, Deacon Johnson. It also, you got to look at, can I take care of these children?
Building accountability.
Right. You say, well, I tie my two, I'm married, we got X amount of children, we can't afford to keep having children, so somebody make a sacrifice. But the thing about it is, you still did not take a life. That makes the difference. And how many children that you see people have and leave them on the doorstep? Go dump them off on the grandparents. Dump them off on people they don't even know. You got 8 children, you kept 1. Where was the other 7? I couldn't afford them, but they kept coming. So somebody had to take the initiative to say, well, I'm going to make a sacrifice by stopping before we get to a place where I can't feed the children for myself.
And Pastor, sometimes the young men need to do that rather than having 6 or 7 different baby mamas. The responsible thing will be if you can't control yourself, then you need to do something, take responsibility. And not plant these seeds all over the place and they don't even know you, and they don't know one another. So
it is good to have your eggs in one basket. I tell anybody that. If you got all your eggs in one basket, whatever you put in that basket, that's in that basket. But when you got them, you got to feed a whole lot of baskets. And I'm not telling you things I think, because I ain't always been right. But it takes away. And the thing about it is, when you got more than one basket, if you got a main basket, You got to take out of that basket to go put in them other baskets. And somebody in this basket, it's going to be like, why? Because you got to put it in the other basket. So, can't nobody do nothing about yesterday. I don't care who we are. But I tell you what we can do. We can learn today and not make the same mistakes tomorrow. But I just believe that it's better not to kill somebody that they never was there than to kill an innocent child that never asked to be placed in the position that he in, or to be mistreated if you bring them into the world. So there's a lot of things that we have to look out for when we talk about children. But once again, all of us, at the end of our life, no matter what it is, we're going to have to face it. So if it was something that we did wrong, you know what we need to do? Is start saying, Lord, thank you. You know why? Because you took this upon you for me. I messed up. I wasn't aware. My mind wasn't right. I didn't know no better. Lord, I did this. But thank God for Jesus that said, that's all right. I'm going to pay the price for you. Would you hold a person? All the Bible says, if we don't know no better, and we do say we're going to be whooped with a few stripes. He said we know better, we're going to be whooped with many stripes. But I believe that God will be more pleased with us never getting to a place than to kill somebody that's already been got. See, we can't say what would have been. Only God knows it. Only thing we can say is what I did to try to keep from getting myself in a position where I could not maintain or take care of my children. There's too many children in the world that suffer because of males and females that's not putting them first in their minds and hearts. Even with parents that you got 4 or 5 children, and ladies, what I'm about to say, I don't mean no harm, but it bothers me when I see a woman with 4 or 5 children, no hug, her nails did, her hair done, she got on the whatever them high heel shoes, she dressed to the T, and 5 little snotty nose children running around, tore it from the floor.
And got to come.
That bothered me. They have these done, but I'm not doing that, but look at mine. The money that you are getting is for them. But what do? We take it for ourselves. So, if a person is taking precaution not to overwhelm themselves, I think that's a good thing, you know. But that's just my opinion. That ain't got nothing to do with how God feels about it. Because at the end of everything, we'll find out how he feels. Okay.
Now,
Go ahead.
I know men that got neutered. I know men that got neutered.
So do I.
I know.
That's what we just
talking about.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, we were just talking about that. You had slipped out on, but we were just talking about all of that. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad this come up because, you know,
I'm almost sorry to see it.
Shows that some of these folks in the years, they had 2 or 3 sets of things. And walk off and leave them later go on too. And my auntie hit me up one day, she told me, listen, Unc did this, Unc did that, and he had like 12 of them, and went on and married some, and I left that later on too. You know, something, history had to look down the telescope of life, something had come in place. To hold some people accountable for some of this stuff. What about to happen when a man get grown? And I'm grown, I'm going to do my thing. Then you go out there, like you say, you have a mess thing all over the place. So something had to come in place in order for, not debate about this and all, but something had to come in place in order to put some seeds on some things. Also, you got some parents that ain't teaching, ain't showing you guys, but then there's some things in place for men and women for like choice, like brother, the people say earlier, there's a choice. But before then, folks knows everything just about it.
They still do that.
Right.
Any other question or comment? Where did we stop at?
16.
Let's start time 17, 18. What we had? Let's do 17, 18. Let's tie them together.
17. Then Abraham fell on his face and lost laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old, and shall Sarah that is 90 years old laugh? Abram said to God, O thou Ishmael might live before thee. 17, 18.
Yeah, that's it. You notice that now, look at them two ages. Abraham, he said wife is 90. So that tells us that there's difference in their age of 10 years. Abraham worshiped in astoundment and prayer. He fell to his face again, utterly astounded, laughing with joy and rejoicing, flooding his heart. He was astounded, just amazed that such a thing could be happening. A wonder at what he had heard. How can Sarah and I have a child? I'm 100 and Sarah is 90 years old. Such is just too wonderful to be true. But it is true, for God has promised it. Within just a few moments, Abraham thought of his son Ishmael, the only son he had ever known. The son who was then 13 years old and whom he had grown to love, the son whom he had thought was to be the promised seed. It dawned upon Abraham that his relationship with Ishmael was being changed, that Ishmael was not the promised seed. He had been wrong about Ishmael. All his hopes and dreams had been wrapped up in that boy, misplaced and out of line with God's will. Immediately Abraham cried out for God to also bless Ishmael, that God would not forget the son whom he loved so much, that God might let Ishmael live under his very special blessing. A father must love and pray for his children before God will ever arouse his faith, before God will ever give him a fresh starting experience with himself. He thought about the son that he had been with a 13 years worth of love in, believing that this gonna be my promised seed, this gonna be the heir, this gonna be the one that God gonna use, and now here it is 13 years after I done went against the will of God and did it the way that I thought. Now God telling me my wife and to have a child. That's why he was happy. But then he thought about, wait a minute. He said, but oh God, he said, Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. What he said? Let him be the one. I love this boy. And you know what? We need to put a pin right here in this on how Abram is looking at this boy, because later on, a few chapters, you're going to find there's going to be a conflict. Sometimes, children, you go through a lot of things you look like you get away with. You slide right through the cracks, all the children get caught up in it. Do you know a lot of times you blessed because of your parents? It's because of the relationship and the prayer that your parents have with God protects you. You see, when you out there doing all you think you big and bad enough to do, somebody love you, they at home on their knees. Sometimes you might just barely have gotten by. It's because somebody was praying for you. And because of the prayers of Abraham, this is why Ishmael gonna be blessed And you're going to hear God say it a little later on. I'm blessing them because of you, Abraham. When you got a relationship with God, there's an umbrella that also covers those that close to you. You see, it's kind of like when it's raining, pick out one of them big umbrellas. If whoever got that umbrella, you can get 4 or 5 people right up under there. Everybody trying to get out the rain. They under that umbrella. And that's the way it is when we have a relationship with our Creator. Our children go under that umbrella. Let me tell you something about a man or woman of God. They stay in constant prayer. Especially when children ain't doing right. That make you, as a matter of fact, it make them pray more. Because they know you're going in place and you're doing things you ain't got no business. They done talk you won't quit because you got all the sin right now. So what do? They go to a higher power.
Yeah. Don't stop. Come on.
Yeah, that's what we do. We talk to the Lord. Us as parents, we can't be everywhere at one time. Amen. But we know somebody who can. And I'm going to tell you something there, parents. Don't you fool yourself. Little juju around you is one way. When little juju get around all their buddies or their buddies,
Come on now.
you gonna find out if you can get them on the wall like this, they'll fly on the wall. Little juju in school, you be, that ain't none of my baby.
Yeah, that him.
I know that ain't none of my baby. I know my baby ain't talking like that.
That him. Can't stop talking.
That's why when my children were growing up and they'll tell you, I don't care if an adult come and tell me something about you, you guilty. Dad, you guilty until you prove yourself to be innocent. Because my thing is, why they gonna lie on you? They just gonna pick you out and they gonna lie on you. You gotta prove to me you're innocent.
Yes.
Now once you prove to me that you're innocent,
Yes.
that other person, what made me think, oh no, now I'm done with them. And then come tell me that now. Because I know you're a llama child. But other than that, child, you guilty.
Yes.
Now you.
She did.
But when we stop there, we got to get in a couple more verses.
That was 18.
18.
18.
All right, let's tie in 19, 20, and 21.
And God said, Sarah, your wife, shall bear your son indeed, and you shall call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him exceedingly fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto you at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from him.
So now, verse 20, 19. So Sarah, that wife, he said, that's who's going to bear the seed. Not only that, God said, I'm going to name the boy. See, you ain't got to worry about naming him. I'm going to be the one to name him. We have to learn how to accept and surrender to the will and the purpose of God. Abraham needed to clearly see the will and purpose of God. And he needed to willingly accept and surrender to God's will. God reconfirmed his will and purpose. He drove his will into Abraham's heart. Sarah was to bear a son, which was going to be the promised seed. The son was to be named Isaac. Note that God himself named this young man. And the covenant established with Isaac was to be an everlasting covenant. Ishmael was to be blessed, especially blessed. In answer to Abraham's prayer, Ishmael was to become a great nation of 12 rulers. God reconfirmed his will his will a third time in verse 21. The covenant of the promised seed and the promised land was to be established with Isaac, not with Ishmael, not with anyone else. The promised Savior was to come through Isaac and his descendants, the Jews. As Scripture clearly says, salvation is of the Jews, John 4:22. Note also that God set the time for Isaac's birth. He was to be born about 1 year later. We must follow the example of Abraham and accept and surrender to the will and purpose of God. Whatever God calls us to do, we must do it. We must surrender to his will for our lives. This is the only way we can ever have and arouse faith. God cannot give us a fresh start experience with himself unless we surrender to his will. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have as human beings is surrendering to the will of God. Because God's will to us is unseen. And we yield to the things that we can see, smell, touch, hear, feel. But with God, we cannot see him. So sometimes we have a problem running to him. Jesus even said to Thomas, you know, when Thomas said that he didn't believe that Jesus rose, he's saying, I'm not going to believe until I can stick my finger in the hole in his hand. Remember what Jesus said to Thomas when he did come? He told him, he said, Thomas, you blessed because you see me. He said, but blessed is the one that believes and have not seen. And that's us. We're the ones who believe and have not seen. Right here is the same type of faith that Abram had to have in God of having the seed that he had not seen. A child of promise from a wife that can pass by barren and a man that has surely passed by, but yet and still God has made a promise. The whole thing started 25 years ago. Abram was 75 years old when the promise was made to him in the beginning. 12 years into it, Abram, 86 years old. Him and his wife decided to help God out. 85. 86, they had Ishmael. Now here it is, he 100. Ishmael is about 13. Now God come back and tell him, that's not the one. You know, that's something to think about, isn't it? We live in a microwave society. We want everything in a hurry right now. We don't want to wait on anything. God teaches us patience and temperance. That's one of the keys. If we can be patient and hold our temper, learn how to take that and be humble, oh, we can get blessed. But a lot of times we keep ourselves from being blessed. This is the book of beginning. The mistakes that Abraham made. We can look back at Abraham and see the same thing happen in our lives. We say, oh, no, I'm not going down that road. I know from the study of this is the same thing that happened with Abram. Impatient. Can't wait. So I'm going to learn to be patient. Well, you said, well, God ain't moving fast enough. Well, you know what? If he don't give it to you before you leave, he'll give it to you after. Think about it. If he done promised it to you, you're going to receive it before you leave. Because he is God and he cannot lie. So verse 19, that's right. Listen to what he said that he said, he told you your name Isaac. He said, I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant. Listen to what he's saying here now. He said, before he's ever born, I'm going to establish a covenant with him. Can y'all see this? What is Isaac doing? I can't hear you. Waiting to come. But wait, listen to what he's doing. What has Isaac got to do? Nothing. God is saying, I'm going to do this. Isaac don't have to do anything but wait to be born. God had already told Abram, I'm going to establish this. When he told Abram about Sarah, he said, I'm going to do it. Now,
It does kind of imply that God knew them from the womb.
say it again.
It kind of implies that God knew from the womb what he was going to do.
I believe in the book of Jeremiah, it said, before I ever formed you, I knew you. God Almighty. And you know what? How many children that we might be to kill in what should have been the womb that a woman make into a tomb, that God might have had a purpose for? That we'll never find out because we killed the child before it got here.
Oh, didn't let him get ill?
If a person tied their tube, they didn't kill a child before they got here. It would never conceive. Never conceive. Never conceive. But once it is conceived, you're not stopping something before it happens. You're reacting to something that has happened. So, where did we stop? Oh, in verse 27, for Ishmael, I heard thee. Listen what he said. Do you know what? As parents, we should take this word right here. What God said right there to Abraham, he said, the father of Ishmael, I done heard your prayer. I don't care how far your child is. You make sure you keep your relationship right with God, because of you, he'll take care of that child. My child living in sin, that's all right. God will take care of him in there too. Any questions, comments?
Brother, you know that what happened with Abraham and Sarah, if it happened nowadays in my time, you know, that'll kill my doubt, my uncertainty, and all this stuff by the power of God. If I was looking at it like, you know, back in the day when this happened, at that age, you can't help but to know that something happened here, that it should reflect, you know, have an effect on me. Just by seeing these people at that age getting ready to have a child. Now I'm in doubt about what God can do. But when I see that should kill that.
It should be.
It should kill it.
But it
It
don't.
can't for me. You know, that uncertainty that I got about what God do. I'm looking at that right there. That should kill that. That should take it out of me.
It should. But it don't. You want me to prove my case? How you say it was? I said to myself, he didn't hear me.
But those people should have seen something in that.
I agree.
You know, when that happened in that country, you know, it happened for a reason. Somebody might have been in doubt that they couldn't have no kid or something. You know, uncertain that, you know, God didn't have the power to do what they needed to do. But when they seen that, hey, they should be like Abraham, who fell on their face and God, give you thanks.
Now I want you to think about it. This is something that probably we can, well, you know, y'all can go Google it and find the story. But it's a story that's probably been told worldwide. Because it happened in India. So it's a story that's been told worldwide. Now, the thing is that what you're saying, D, that should help us in our belief. If it's a worldwide thing, it should stir the world to look at it. So wait a minute.
It's something that don't normally happen. Right?
It's a power, it got to be a power greater than us.
And guess what? They was in that sound mind.
Well, I'm quite sure it was.
Now, when they were in that sound mind, responding, you know, some folks ain't gonna walk or nothing like that, you know. It was, they sound mind.
Well, real quick, in India, people eat different in India than we do over here. They eat healthy over there. We don't. And it has a lot to do with what you eat, what you put in, and what you're going to get out. That's in our country. Everything we eat is contaminated. If you're not growing it yourself, it's contaminated. Because our country is full of greed. We want money. We don't care nothing about me. So let's take where did we stop at?
22.
Let's tie all the rest of us. And then Lord will we start chapter 18 next week.
And Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day as God said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and nine, and he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old, and he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in the house and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him.
Thank you, Dean. So this is he made public a decision and obeyed God's instruction, his word. Remember, God's instruction is his word. That's why his word is so important to us, because his instructions come from his word. But notice, as soon as God had finished speaking with Abraham, Abraham got up and acted. He took his whole household and did exactly what God said to do. He obeyed God's instructions, God's word. His decisions were made public. And for God's instructions were to involve the whole household. If we would be more like just that example right there. Abram didn't wait until later on to say, you know, I think I'll do this next week. I'll do it next month. A lot of times when God's working in our life, we want to postpone, procrastinate, put off, do it later. But when God shows us something, we need to be moving right in. If there's something going on in our life that He done brought to our attention, we need to fix it then. Not to come up with excuses not to. And that's what Abram did. He got right on into it and started doing it right then. The same day. Not the next day, but that day. Abraham led his whole household to obey God, to enter into a covenant relationship. All the men and boys were circumcised. He took the lead, setting the example in the covenant relationship at an old age. He was circumcised at age 99. He led his own child to obey God. And we need to say that again. Abraham led his child to obey God and to enter into the covenant relationship at an early age of 13. Every adult should make a public decision to obey God's instruction, God's word. And every adult should lead his or her household to obey God, to enter into the covenant relationship with God, to accept the promised Savior and the promised land which is heaven. We must publicly act on His word, witness, and bear testimony to our household of God's word. The priest of every house is the man of that house. If there's no man in there, then the leader of that house is that woman. But she leads her family to God. And that's what all of us as believers, especially men, we're supposed to be the example and the priest of the house to lead our children to the Lord. And in order for us to do that, we have to be good examples. We need to have temperance to control ourselves around our children so we can be good examples. And we should need to learn patience with our children. And all children don't grow at the same level. Some children need a little bit more attention than others. And it takes a good parent to know how to treat all of them the same, even if it's not equal. That got heavy there.
Even they equal.
Because somebody needs a little bit more than someone else. So you have to put a little more out over you because somebody else, because child, when I say, you might have to spend more time with one to get that one to understand something than you would with one that catches on real quick. That's what I mean by that. And you would say, well, equal would be if I spend 5 minutes with them, I spend 5 minutes with them. What's fair is 5 minutes, you 5 minutes to do for you, you got it. But there's no here might put hour in. Although the child might look and say, that's not fair, he put more time in over here. It's because the parent can see that it's needed to help this one to mature more. So I'm being fair, although I might not be equal, because of the need of the child.